Hi everybody, and welcome to the FTMA webinar on sales training. So today's webinar, we've got Jason Howe joining us, and just excuse me when I try and work through, how do I do? Nikita's down here like Dickie Nee trying to show me how to do things here. There we go. So I'd like to thank all of our sponsors. There's no doubt that the FTMA sponsors, we always partner with reputable businesses, and we're very proud of the sponsorship and the relationships we have. And it's thanks to our generous sponsors that we've been able to provide the resources that we continue to provide for our members. There it is. Okay, our upcoming FTMA webinars. Next week, we've got the tips to secure funding through grants after the fantastic success of Shalina Serrano helping Dakin Trusses secure over $685,000 with the advanced manufacturing grant. So Shalina obviously has some great tips there. We've got the top 100 builders, which Alistair Woodard from FWPA provided our board an update, and it was extremely interesting, and our board found the way it was presented a great insight into what the builders are thinking. On the 30th of September, we're partnering with Forestworks to deliver how to take a stand against domestic violence, which is Joe Mason, formerly of Hine, has set up a fantastic business around this very important social issue. Then in October, it's all about timber. So we've got timber treatment compliance with Jack Norton of TPAA, chain of custody program for fabricators that's going to be from Dave Gover of Engineered Wood Products, understanding the sawn timber market. Tim Woods from Industry Edge is going to look at how we can use data from our industry and the timber industry to forecast for future. And also we've got Andy McNaught of Engineered Wood Products Australia, Engineered Wood Products Australasian Association, I think I've got that right. Is your timber fit for purpose, which is an extremely important issue for our sector. Of course, we've had some past webinars, and I've just had a few apologies actually from fabricators who have hit a bump and can't join us today. All our webinars are recorded and they're all available on the FTMA website, so you can still continue to allow your employees to look at them. But today, as I said, we've got Jason Howe of Arrow Executive, 30 years experience, and not only that, he has a history in our industry, so he understands from a fabricator's point of view of what the challenges you are. This is exactly the sort of person we want to associate ourselves with. So Jason, I'd like to hand over to you. If you could share your screen, I'll just stop sharing here.
Thank you very much, everybody. I'm really glad to be.
Yeah, oh, he's on mute. Okay, you've got him muted still. You there, Jason?
Yes, I am, everybody.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much for the warm introduction. And yeah, certainly very happy to be part of the group here and support you in the future. I actually was speaking to someone the other day. I really miss the frame and truss industry, even though I've been a little bit involved over recent times, but not since obviously I was an estimated detailer myself and working with Hine. So certainly looking forward to working with you today and showing you what I've been up to myself. So we're going to have some questions along the way. Kirsten's going to keep an eye on those, and we can cover them off at the end as well if needed. But the other thing we were going to mention today is that as part of my Australian partnership with the Objective Management Group, we've decided to offer a free sales evaluation to whoever asks the best question today, in our support and appreciation of allowing us to come on and talk to you. So it's a very good opportunity for somebody to the value of nearly $800, and obviously yeah, it would be very interesting for you as well. So just to give you a little bit of a sort of background on myself. Father of two young girls, obviously involved in my business as well as being here for me and my journey. My eldest daughter is into the digital marketing a little bit, so she's sort of taken that hat. My youngest girl is a bit of a chip off the old block with the in sales, so, and also the boss of the house. And obviously I'm a proud father as well. So Arrow was founded in late 2018. I had some changes in my situation where I needed to be around more for my daughters. I'm sure all the parents out there would understand that. Life runs away on us, and we tend to get involved in expanding businesses and traveling more. So again, I decided to leave the corporate arena after a long time, and yeah, just took some time off and wanted to look at how I could get that better work-life balance for my daughters and for myself as well. And it was yeah, had a lot of years of hopping on planes every week or every fortnight. And it sort of, yeah, that wore down a little bit. I sort of needed a change. I also wanted to really, when I thought about what I wanted to do, I really wanted to try and help salespeople sell more effectively. And building high performance sales teams over the years, around the country, I sort of realised how difficult it was becoming in that marketplace. It wasn't getting easier. There was a lot of really good people leaving our industry, and there didn't seem to be the same sort of level coming through. That obviously created a lot of challenges in trying to hire better as well. So that was a real frustrating situation. And I found myself, quite often in where, you get a lot of applications, and we tend to hire from within the industry, and the talent pool was drying up. And I think that became a real opportunity that I saw for myself. Also wanted to give back to our industry after 30 years. I'm very passionate about the timber and building industry, and it's something that I sort of fell into when I left school, and very much have a lot of appreciation for what it's done for myself and my family, and wanted to stay within the industry. Innovation. I wanted to bring some new innovation, and it's our industry from a manufacturing point of view is very good with innovation. From a sales point of view, not so great. And I saw an opportunity there to try some different things and look at different ways where we get offer value to businesses to improve in sales. And obviously by doing that, that would obviously deliver a better bottom line result and better experience for everybody. Over the years, I was fortunate to work for some very good companies. Coastway Timbers, now down in Pambula, not there anymore. Now part of the corporate IHG, which they did close that factory, but the Model 10 still going there. I worked at Hine Timber for about 11 years in a wholesale role. So at Coastways, I was a frame and truss estimator detailer. Then I went to Hine and was in a wholesale role for 8.5 years. I have the privilege of working with some of the members, and then also went into a key account role where I was involved with the Independent Hardware Group, NAP Build, which a lot of the members belong to as well, and obviously had a fair bit to do with Bunnings. Also, my time on the road and at Woodhouse as well, obviously got to deal with Langs back in the early days in the mid-90s, with Bob Lang back then and David Wisk, and obviously a very fantastic business, family-owned business that I've dealt with for a long time. Even Redland Bay Roof Trusses, Alec Parker was one of my first clients back in the mid-90s. So, yeah, certainly happy to get back within the frame and truss arena. Arrow is also supporters of the building industry. We're a member of TAPMA as well as the FTMA. We're also a member of the HIA. Also Australian partner for the Objective Management Group, which I'll talk a little bit more about. If you'd like some more information, you can visit our website. You'll also find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and also YouTube as well, where we try and add value by offering sales strategies and tips to help people improve. The Objective Management Group is the #1 sales assessment tool in the world, voted by Top Sales Awards 9 years in a row. I was fortunate to become an Australian partner early this year. It's something that I classify as a purple cow. It's a very unique system that basically gets the best out of sales teams. It's being a certified partner in Australia. It is very, I'm very proud of that because it is such a fantastic tool to help me work with my clients and to be able to get a much better understanding of where they're at the moment. It's like diagnosing, going to the doctor and seeing, okay, where is each person at and where is the sales, where is the company at in sales, and how can we help them improve? So you'll see a bit more of that as we go along as well, referred to as OMG. It's the science behind the data. It's a very powerful tool that has basically assessed over 2 million salespeople just recently. Has clicked over 2 million, sorry, and over 200 industries in 133 countries. Also assisting with over 86,000 sales hires as well over 30 years. As you know, it's a bit of uncertainty at the moment with the industry. It's positive to hear that things haven't been too bad lately, which is great to hear. I suppose the question is, yeah, where do we go down the track? And as you know, it's becoming much more difficult, and it has been for a while to sell. Sell in general, it's gotten harder. And one thing I've always looked at from a positive point of view is that now is the best time to knuckle down and actually really go hard at trying to increase your market share. Because if you can increase your market share when things are tight by investing in your team, when you come out of this and obviously the market picks back up, you will pick up an unfair share of the market. And I've done this on numerous times and it's paid off. In particular, one time I can remember was when Sydney was coming out of its downturn market for a number of years. And then when the market did finally get going, we had picked up a very large market share, which was very rewarding. So at the moment, great opportunity to grow that. I suppose the big thing as well today is just to give you some information, to share the knowledge that I've got and what I've invested in learning over the last few years in particular, after extracting myself out of that day-to-day sales environment. And it becomes a much clearer picture when you can see the fact that things have changed a lot. It's become very difficult to reach prospects. Prospects do not have the time to meet like they used to. And this is even worse now, obviously, with what's happening, because people are doing more with less people on restricted hours in some situations. So it's from a salesperson's point of view, and they can't go face to face. It's not easy out there. And as I said, I feel for you guys, I've got the same challenges within my own business, but there's greater resistance to getting in front of people. It's basically become very difficult, or to get in contact with them. Also, as well, over the years, there's been, salespeople tend to be invited in later in the sales cycle now, because there's obviously so much information available online, or that your clients or prospects can access. So effectively, sometimes they get in contact with you when they've already done 50 or 60% of their research. There's obviously, as you would be well aware, there's a lot. Price is very sensitive at the moment. It's and particularly in frame and truss, I'm aware of that. Everyone's about price, and that is very difficult to operate in those circumstances. Prospects are also more cautious and conservative on what they're spending their money on. So we've got to face those challenges as well. But there's one good thing there, and a great opportunity is the fact that there is greater need to differentiate. So if you can do that, obviously you can stand out from the crowd a little bit and make a point of difference, which I've already been seeing a lot of you have been doing anyway. And it's really impressive to see that innovation and on-site construction and a lot of different ways that have been strategies that have been targeted to stand out from the crowd. With prospecting, it's an area that I really specialise in. It's something that I've done a lot of over the years, obviously expanding businesses around the country. I've had to do a lot of prospecting myself. sort of addicted to it. I really love it. And that's something that's been fantastic since I've started my own business again. Started my own business because obviously it's something that I'm starting from scratch. So it's become really interesting for me to look into the science of a lot of different strategies and ways to do this. And obviously I want to try and share a little bit of that with you today. Obviously preparing before you start each week. As you know, a lot of companies don't want to see salespeople on a Friday afternoon. So I always used to get my team to be available on the Friday afternoon to make sure they are preparing for next week. So that includes finishing off CRM, logging calls for next week, identifying who they want to see, when they're going to see them, locking in appointments. Because if you can do that on the Friday and then start from scratch on the Monday, it gives you a much better start than a lot of your competitors who will come in on a Monday, fix bits and pieces up from last week, get caught up in something else. And next thing they go, oh, you know what, I'll go out Tuesday. And then Tuesday comes and then that sort of starts over again. So obviously the preparation part is very critical. And also to focus on your high payoff activities. So that is, what are the critical jobs you should be doing in sales and not all the other jobs that you inherit along the way. And I understand that is challenging at the moment because there are people multitasking because of reduced numbers or reduced hours. But it is very important to make sure that your team is focusing on their high payoff activities. So looking at the job specs, you know, what are they supposed to be doing a time analysis as well. If anyone wants to have a look at that, I've got a spreadsheet on time analysis where we can actually chart for 2 or 3 days to see what your salespeople are actually doing and are they working on the right areas. It's easy to get caught up and do the wrong things or doing the things that are comfortable when you should be obviously investing that time in selling. Again, as I mentioned, we all do it. It's easy to get caught up on those easy tasks and get comfortable. So for say someone to go prospecting or to get on the phone and start ringing people, that's uncomfortable. And a lot of the times the easy tasks will come before the hard tasks. Now is certainly not the time to have your head buried in emails or non-related sales tasks. If you're running a sales team, it's important to have them organized and focused and obviously working in the right areas of the business. Another key area is obviously investing time in your sales team. You know, one-on-one support so that they can succeed. And I understand it's busy, but I do find a lot of the times and some of the companies that I work with, it tends to be that the sales manager or the manager or the owner is too busy to obviously, and unfortunately under pressure to give the sales team the support that they need. And that can come back to bite you as well, obviously with planning and prospecting and strategic work. Many of us just end up in sales or management with no formal training or development. And it's a very common situation. It's also common for a sales manager to have his own territory, which means that he's not managing the sales team. So I think it's a critical area that needs to be identified very quickly. If that's something that's happened to you and you haven't invested in any training, now's the time to think about it and offer your team the support that they deserve to be able to make sure that they can succeed in sales. At the moment, self-image is very big. I understand that, it's a frustrating time to be selling in the marketplace. I understand that, but obviously a strong self-image helps maintain a sense of being rejection-proof. In sales, you need to be rejection-proof because you're going to get rejected, unfortunately. If you're cold calling and you're prospecting, you're going to be ringing people, you're going to get rejected. And sometimes that can, if you can't handle it and you have a bad day, you can lose your focus for a few days after that because it can knock you around a little bit. So it's very important to obviously have supporting strategies and tactics that can have a positive impact on your results. The other area is sales optimism. Obviously, we can measure through the assessments, basically, the fact that, you could expect a positive or a negative outcome. And obviously, if you're thinking more optimistically, during selling situations, that can actually contribute to a better sales posture. And obviously also improving the impression you make on your prospects and making them more comfortable with you as well. Something that I've always really liked to focus my energy on is evaluating your client base, having a really good look to see where you're at as far as who you're dealing with, who you're not dealing with. Look to also to either grade them or rate them into sort of areas of opportunity. So just so you've got a really clear picture of obviously, where your growth potential will come from. And it could be that you might have some particular accounts that could fit into one of these areas over here, obviously, which you need to manage and obviously still service. But what you really want to identify is, okay, who do I invest my time in? Who is potential high revenue? Who has high potential? And let's obviously look at focusing on those areas as well. And by having that sort of clear picture on who fits into what category, that will make your prospecting much more effective as well, making sure you're utilising your time. This is a big one. It's not about you or your product. It's very easy for us all to get carried away about what we do and thinking that what we have is the best product in the world. We've all done it, but effectively it's about how you can help your client or prospect solve a problem. And it's identifying the needs and wants for them. It's something that you need to continually remind yourself of, because it's very easy to get caught up in the moment about your own business. The last thing you want to do, and it's a bit of a sales term here, you don't want to just show up and throw up. So you don't want to just, jump to hop out at a building site, we do this, we do that, blah, 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 everything about what you do without even potentially asking your client or the prospect, well, what does your business do and what do you look for in a product and how do you normally buy and what's important for you? So you really need to look at those areas by obviously listening, looking around, and obviously learning off them about what is important for them to, as in for a supplier. What do they look for? The other big area as well is don't rush to present your pricing. It's sales when you're developing new business takes time. So we'll go through sales process soon, and that's very important because effectively you don't want to rush. Having a unique selling proposition or your sales story is very important. Sometimes it's good to take a step back and go, okay, where are we at? And has this changed? Or has the market changed, and do we need to change our story to obviously for the benefits that we offer and the solutions that we solve as well. So you also want to look at your ideal client profile is very important. So what does your ideal client profile look like? If you look at your current existing customer base and who do we do well with and why do they use us and what sort of market do they operate in and what's important to them, if you can really pull apart a lot of that information now, you can actually create a fairly clear picture on who you need to target. You can also look at buyer persona, and basically that is, what is that buyer for that business? What do they look for? What do they need? And it also enables you to create the right conversations and or messaging for your marketing related around how your product or service can help them and obviously make it a better buying experience for them. So sales messaging, confidence is a very significant component of sales success. So obviously you want to be confident in your messaging. If your team is not confident in your messaging, then that's a huge problem. So you need to have everybody on the same page as far as your messaging. And messaging compelling. So it must become more focused on the value you create instead of your company and offer. So when you are looking, or if you're looking for sales growth, Obviously, start allocating time for prospecting with your team. Avoid excuses of day-to-day interruptions and non-productive tasks. As I mentioned, it's very easy to get caught up in those areas. We can, by doing the sales evaluations, I've found it's a very powerful tool to identify who can hunt for new sales and who wants to prospect. You'll find that some people within your team either don't want to do it or don't have the skill set to do it. So it is very important to identify straight away who is the best person to do this, and or can we improve the level of skill set and mindset of your team to be able to do it more effectively. Have a clear target list. Allocate 1 hour per day. 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. works well for me. You might have, and then you might do another round in the afternoon, 2 to 3, depending on obviously the level of business you want to target. If you follow a sales process, that makes a big difference. And by always adding value and bringing new insights, it just gets you the chance to be able to talk to people more. If you can promise to add value or bring some new information or technology to the meeting, you've got more chance of getting in the door. By using a CRM with an effective pipeline, that also makes it a very good system for prospecting as well, and obviously dealing with your manager to be able to make sure that you're heading in the right direction. And one of the big ones here, and you'll hear me talk about this a bit, is to qualify early. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you are working on the right potential clients, and you want to do this early on so that you're not wasting valuable time. So an ideal pipeline basically looks like this. So it's basically suspects at the top, and then it comes into prospects. So it talks about their suspect, and then they are a prospect. I think they fit our ideal client profile and the sort of client we're looking for. You need to then look and go, okay, we need to qualify that very early in the sales process to make sure that we're utilizing our time to the maximum capacity. And obviously you want to make sure that they're closable as well. And where we find a lot of people get caught up is they get caught up in this suspect prospect sort of area, and they don't get qualified quickly enough. So it looks like you've got a good pipeline, but effectively it's clogged up with opportunities that are potentially never going to close in there. So some statistics here say that 27% of salespeople meet the criteria in qualifying, only 27%. So again, for the balance, that's a very big opportunity for growth. Having a healthy managed pipeline is critical to develop new business, and obviously maximizing your valuable time in the right areas. It will also help you advance deals through the pipeline step by step. Getting back to discovery, it's critical. So early on in your initial call and prospecting evaluation, the discovery about the business itself and the company is very critical to be able to get to that qualifying point. Social selling has completely changed in recent times, and again, even more so now. So it's become a very big part of selling. Obviously, a lot of companies using Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So there's a lot more information out there now on your suppliers, and obviously your competitors, and also your prospects. So it's quite easy to follow these guys. It's a very powerful tool to build relationships as well. If you look at the top 10% of salespeople globally here, they scored 40 compared to the bottom 10% scored 14. So there's a big gap there on how you can use social selling to generate new business. Building relationships, it takes time. Again, obviously you need to know who the person is. You obviously need to like the person if you want to deal with them and build a relationship, and you need to build trust. So these things take a while, but again, you need to obviously work on this as fast as you can in another way, because you need to be able to, it's going to help you obviously form a relationship better, and it's going to help you be able to sell to this person if you can obviously build all those three areas. And you obviously need to be very authentic at the moment. As you know, there's a lot going on, and people are looking to form relationships with companies that they have a mutual respect for. When you do meet somebody for the first time, the first 5 to 7 seconds are the most important. It's very critical to make a good impression. Obviously, you need to greet and introduce yourself confidently. And you need to show interest. So you need to ask, what are you working on at the moment, and what's important to your business, and really, ask good questions and show that you genuinely do want to know about, how they do business and what they're going through at the moment. So also, the next day after you have met somebody or you've spoken to somebody, it's a good idea just to send a follow-up email thanking them for their time. Obviously, giving your details to them electronically as well. It's just another touch point through the sales process to build that relationship. Relationship building does show how effective a salesperson is at developing relationships. So if you can be effective at this, it will speed up your sales cycle. It's more than just finding common ground, but obviously truly developing a relationship, being memorable. And it's important that relationships develop reasonably quickly to sell consultatively. Qualifying is one of the competencies for the assessments that we do. It's very important to qualify. Again, you can see the results here. The top 10% of salespeople score 74 compared to the bottom 10%, 32. So unfortunately, with that big gap there, the bottom 10% are wasting time on potential prospects that are not going to buy from them or don't fit their ideal client profile. So it's very important to qualify early and have a clear understanding of what you're looking for. Another sales term, you don't want to get happy ears. You hear this when you'd be told that, yes, we've got an opportunity, you're looking good, you're going to get the order, and then you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait, and the order doesn't come. In the meantime, you've promised the production manager that, yes, we've got a big job coming. It doesn't turn up. So you've got to be very careful this doesn't happen, because unfortunately sometimes the prospect will say this just to get you off their back. So it's very important to be focused on qualifying. Again, qualify early to have a pipeline of closable leads, and investing your time in the right areas for success. Consultative selling, you'll hear me talk a bit about here. It's one of the key takeouts for today. It's an area where you are really having the ability to uncover the compelling reasons to buy. It's a very important area of selling. If you can see here, the key results here, 60% of people, the top 10 are at 60% compared to the bottom 10 at 27%. So there's a big gap there on being able to sell consultatively, and it will open a lot of opportunities for you to do this effectively. It's about the salesperson's ability to stay in the moment. So being in your buyer's shoes at that time, at that moment, what they're going through, and being able to listen and understand where they're at. The ability to be able to listen and ask great questions, but also the ability to ask the tough questions at the right time with ease. A lot of salespeople, and I've been there myself, sometimes if you really want to be liked by somebody and you don't want to ask those hard questions, it won't uncover some of the areas of opportunities or the budgets that you need to uncover to speed the sales cycle up. And the other big area as well is that if you're there busy thinking about what you're going to say next, you might be missing some real golden information about the opportunities that the client or the prospect's actually telling you at that moment. And it's a mindset area. It's very common. I'll be interested to see if anyone's got any feedback on that area. But again, you're so focused on what you're going to say, you're not actually listening to what is being said at that moment. First objective is building a relationship. The second is providing the right product and solution. Consultative selling focuses on creating value and trust with the prospect, exploring their needs before offering a solution. As I mentioned before, don't rush to present, take your time. It works a lot better if you're actually coming back in the right areas with the opportunity to help solve the problem. Consultative selling skill helps sales professionals position themselves and be differentiated with obviously compelling solutions. This approach leads to a greater satisfaction and stronger relationships between the buyer and seller because you're fixing a problem, you're helping them. You're not just bouncing in, dropping a price, trying to get a quick sale, you're actually forming a partnership. If you talk too much on sales calls, this can interfere with your ability to listen effectively as well. Successful salespeople talk around 30% of the time. Now, I know that that might seem unusual, but the more you listen and the more questions you ask and you develop better listening skills, the more effective you will be at selling. If you ask more how or why questions, this will help you maintain more control over the sales call as well. So it's very important to ask for your prospect or your client's opinion, and you know, how or why is a good way to uncover more information and what's important to you and what happens if this doesn't happen. And it's good to understand each person's situation. I mentioned before asking the tough questions. If you need approval and you want to be liked, well, obviously, then you will find that you won't ask those tough questions, uncovering budgets, timelines, or areas within the business that might seem a little bit private, but you need to uncover this to move forward. So it's 50% less likely a conversion of a sale if you don't ask these tough questions. And great questions will help you uncover important information and make you different from your competition. It will also shorten your sales cycle. To mention this before, this is a really big area of opportunity about discussing money with your clients and budgets and prices and those different areas. So the top 10% score 87 compared to the bottom 10% 27. So it's a critical area for opportunity that if you can get your salespeople being comfortable discussing money. The selling value competency is part of the assessments we do through the group. I won't go through each individual one, but it gives you some areas where we can obviously benchmark your team to see how they compare to global standards. With selling value, again, understanding body language, reading the signs, finding out what's important for people, knowing your value proposition, knowing when they need to buy and uncovering this information early. So if they don't need to buy for a while, well, then they might start pressuring you on price, but effectively that's part of their buying process is to do it that way. And if they do start doing that with the price, just disrupt them basically. Ask why price is so important. Have they underquoted? Is there an issue with the job or something like that? But the more information you can gather, the more it might explain some of the behaviour. Supported buy cycle is very important. It's something that's it's interesting. So basically, the way you buy yourself is basically the way you will sell. So if you're the sort of person that wants to basically, if you're a price shopper and you want to get the best deal, you'll find that when you're selling to someone, you would be very comfortable to drop your price quite quickly if asked, and you won't uphold margin and you won't sell on value. That's a very interesting one because it's also the opposite. So if you want to take your time and do your research when you're buying yourself, when you're selling, you'd be comfortable giving your prospect time to do the same. The problem is that makes the sales process drag out and you will potentially lose them. They won't make a decision, or you will miss that decision if they do make it because you're giving them the space. Sales is very important. It's something that I've put a lot of work into. A lot of companies don't have a sales process. You can see from the results here that they speak for themselves. It's basically double the difference If you do have a sales process that's milestone-centric sales process and it's staged, you'll find it will help you prospect more effectively and develop new business. Your sales cycle can be shortened if you do follow a sales process. The sales process would have and will have the greatest impact today. If you don't have one and you're interested in developing a sales process, that will have a big impact on how your team sells effectively. If you work with Arrow, we help you develop a sales process, and we obviously work through the process that we have. This is just a snapshot of some of the process we do and what it does. It walks through the buying process and what the buyer goes through as far as the stages of that. And then it also then reflects back to the selling process and what's required through preparation for success, prospecting, discovery, solution and approach, presentation, through to closing and implementation. And if you can follow this process, you'll find that closing will become much more effective. These are just some of the results from the evaluations that we do, so we can actually gauge to see where your team is and each person is scoring. So with closing, if you follow a milestone-centric sales process, you should be able to close more effectively by not, and obviously by not skipping steps as well or rushing to close. If not, if you have trouble closing, you may not have uncovered enough compelling reasons to buy, or it could have been the wrong type of client for you as well. Maybe they didn't fit your ideal client profile. And again, by qualifying early, this will eliminate a lot of the prospects that may not close. I thought I'd just show you, this is one of the snapshots of one of our sample dashboards from the assessments that we do. This one is for a manager, and it basically shows you exactly, and it's obviously available for sales, BDMs, account managers, leaderships, and all that sort of stuff as well. So it runs you through a very powerful area of will to sell competencies. Talks about commitment, motivation to sale, how salespeople motivated. Talks about their responsibility as well, which can be a challenge. We go through some sales mindset areas that can potentially hold you back from achieving greater sales success. And we talk about areas of hunting. So yeah, who is good at hunting and how do they compare? Relationship building, consultative selling, closing, sales process. So it talks a lot about a lot of key areas here. It's a very powerful report to uncover the sales DNA of each person. And this is one of the sales management dashboards as well that really focuses in on coaching, motivating the team, accountability, recruiting, and pipeline management, as well as some of the other core areas as well. Uncovering your sales DNA is basically the starting point. So I was talking to Kirsten, and again, yeah, we've decided to offer a free evaluation today. I thought I would also offer a special for the members. If you're interested in this offer, evaluating per person is $795 plus GST, but we are offering a 10% discount this month for the FTMA members. It's something that can be turned around within 24 to 48 hours. It's sales specific, and it's also targeted for your business, your marketplace, the products you're selling, the level of competition you face. It's a very it's purpose built for your business and your industry as well. So it includes a 25-page detailed coaching and sales training report that you get to keep. And it also includes a 1-hour executive debrief on the results, and it will identify the areas required for improvement in sales for each person. So just a bit of a recap on the support available for the group. I'm here to help. I'm happy to have a phone call at any time. If you just need a bit of guidance or someone to talk to, I'm here to do that. We offer sales coaching. We also do new business development support as well. So if you're looking to grow or get into a new product category, you need some support to help you with that. We also help hire. We're not a recruiter, I'll say that, but we can help you hire quality sales professionals, and we can help you onboard them as well if required to maximise the impact of the sales evaluations that we use. Also do a bit of work with CRMs as well. So whether you have one and it's not effective, which a lot aren't, or whether it's a sales process alignment to your CRM or implementation, we can help you with that as well. It's obviously very important to have a clear understanding of the company's systems, processes, and metrics that support the sales organisation as well. So for bigger businesses where, say, you've got a sales team over 5, we can also do a comprehensive evaluation of the business, looking at business plan from a sales growth potential, unique selling proposition. Obviously, we go through pipeline. We look at analysis of your current sales activities and develop sales processes, a very powerful tool as well. And the information is 95% predictive. So it's very accurate on predicting where you can succeed in sales more. It's got Harvard white papers as well that are available for the product. It's used by a lot of leading companies like Johnson & Johnson, Audi, Vodafone, Telstra, very commonly used to hire better and to build high performance sales teams. So again, as mentioned, if you are hiring or you're looking to hire, the licenses last for a year. You can screen unlimited numbers. It's a very good tool to use to uncover who are the top sales performers out of a lot of people as well that are applying at the moment. This is just a recent testimonial that I had from a client that I helped hire someone for. They had over 100 applications. He didn't even look at a CV to start with. We basically put everyone through the evaluation, and then it recommended about 6% of the people for the position, and then we interviewed 5, and then we hired a very good sales candidate. So again, just evaluating a sales force is the starting point. It's not about how good you are at sales now, it's about how much better you could be. We hear that a lot where people have been doing sales for a long time and they feel like they can't learn anymore, but I can promise you, you definitely can. And it's a good sign. It's a sign of a good leader is to ask for help. So that's a very positive move these days for people to ask for help to improve in sales. And most companies use external experts. Even within my own business, I'd hire a lot of external experts to help in things like digital marketing and areas within the business, because that's not my specialty. So I just really would like to thank everybody for their time, and yeah, I really appreciated it. We're here to help and just to see if you have any questions.
Yeah, we do have quite a few questions coming up here. So I'm just going to work through them. We've got, what's your advice on how to manage a sales pipeline without a CRM?
I've got someone doing that at the moment, and you can do it through Excel if you have a good sales process and alignment, but it's clunky. There are some other options. My general comment would be to use a CRM. There are some options out there that are quite affordable. It's a much easier process, and it also gives you the ownership of the information by having a CRM as well. So last thing you want is for your salespeople to leave and then you lose all that information. So I'm happy to talk to someone about how you could more effectively do that.
Okay, and we've got Queensland builders are possibly the toughest customers when trying to promote and sell a new product, as they are resistant to change. Queenslanders never, and can be dismissive within 1 minute of your pitch. So what strategy would you suggest, giving you any chance of getting their attention from the get-go is tough? So what do you do when turning up for a meeting in that first part to get their attention?
Well, I'm from Queensland. I'm not born here, but I live in Queensland, and I know what you mean. I think I'd extend that to most states. I suppose one big thing is, are you targeting the right type of client? Is your messaging right? Are you adding value? And yeah, it's certainly not easy. But again, I suppose the big thing is that, yeah, what's important for them and that style of builder, and how can you differentiate your product offer or the message that you're saying to try and get more attention. You know what I mean? It's definitely not easy, but if you look at, I'm happy to talk about that offline again as well.
Okay, and we've got, how long does the training go for, and what are the qualities of top salespeople in your opinion?
How long does my training go for?
Yeah, how long does your training go for? And then also, what do you think are the top qualities for a salesperson?
Okay, the training basically goes depending on the results of the evaluation. So until you evaluate the person and each person, you can't really tell how long the training needs to go for. So say, for example, if the results are really strong, there could be only 2 to 4 sessions that you might need that might only be 2 to 4 hours, and the coaching's done, you know, via Zoom and one-on-one or in smaller groups if needed. So yeah, but then again, there could be some people that might need more coaching. So it might be 8 to 10 sessions, which could be done either weekly, fortnightly, or monthly.
Yeah, and the top qualities of a salesperson besides the personality.
Again, I think being a consultative seller is a very big area and very strong area for a good seller. Obviously, being able to hunt for new business is a very important part if that's what the business wants. Motivation for sales is very big, and how the person is motivated as well. Understanding how that person is motivated, and commitment to whatever it takes to succeed in sales is the number one objective management group criteria for a good sales.
Yeah, I have to say,
if they're not committed.
Yeah, I was just going to say, my nephew used to go door to door selling roof seal, and as a 17, 18-year-old, and geez, it's developed that I think what you said about handling rejection. If you can kind of duck off a water off a duck's back for the rejection, then it does help you. We've got another one here from Greg Buss. It says supply timelines are generally very important, but expectations can be unreasonable or unrealistic. How early in the process would you look to understand the customer's timeline requirements, and how do you tell them that they're being unrealistic?
Good question. I think in your discovery, when you're prospecting, it's very important to uncover the areas of timeline and expectation of service and delivery. Yeah, so definitely in the discovery early on you would want to do that. And as you know, we've all won new business and then gone, oh my God, what have I just won? It's sometimes if they don't meet that sort of ideal client profile you're looking for, it can come back to bite you fairly quickly.
And is it important to point out if it's unrealistic? I mean, I always tell my members, I've had a member here and there say, you can't tell me that. And I go, well, I'm not there to kind of pee in your pocket. I'm there to help your business. So as a salesperson, is it wise to tell the person they're unrealistic in their expectations, or not until you get their business?
Well, that would go back to having those tough discussions and asking those tough questions that might rock the relationship a little bit to start with. But again, I think being a good quality salesperson, you've got to be able to have those tough conversations, because as you said, you don't want to not ask it and then all of a sudden it turns to mud. So I think that one of the big things and big areas of opportunities is having the confidence and the ability to ask the hard questions and discover that early on.
Okay, and we've got Matthew Matcott says, how do you determine you are actually creating valuable content for them?
Well, you should get so if you look at talk to your existing clients, ask them why they deal with you and what they think is good that you do for them, and ask different people that you deal with about why do you deal with us and what stands out, and then basically test the water with new prospects and test the water and see what happens, and basically gather the feedback and then try and look at adjusting your messaging to as you know, your messaging might work with one person, but it mightn't with another person as well. So the messaging part is very, very important. I think a lot of companies sort of lose track of that, particularly with your marketing as well.
Okay, and Julia Melbourne says, what's the most important skill to gain or advance consultative seller competency?
What's the best skill to gain?
Yep, or advance consultative seller competency. So what's the best you can look for in that area?
Better from most salespeople, and again, even myself, we're all human, is being in that moment when you're talking to your client, really putting yourself in their shoes at that moment and listening very, very effectively. And I think that's the part where a lot of people jump in and they either answer the question themselves, or they don't give the client the time, or they're so busy worrying about what they're going to say that they're not listening properly. So that would be probably the main part, talking less.
Talking less, okay. And I've got, don't pitch, ask them questions like, how do I compete on value and all my competitors are selling based on price? So how do you get how do you get that customer across the line when it's about value rather than actual price?
Very good question. I think, again, it would be, I know obviously price is important, but it'd be fair to say that there's still a lot of people, a lot of builders that still want the quality. So I suppose going to the jobs that your competitors are selling just on price and having a real good look around and seeing and asking questions. And we had one the other day with a client where, they were using a particular manufacturer because they were cheap. And then we spoke to a builder who uses their product, and how do you find their product? Oh, it's cheap, this is wrong, that's wrong, or this is not good. But so I think if you can uncover those areas, and then you can sort of sell your value as to how you can help them, spend less time on site or fixing less things, or it's really about asking that question and uncovering the information to try and be able to sell on value more. But look, I understand it's not easy. It's certainly challenging.
And Matthew Macott has also asked, what would you say if a client asks you about a competitor and why you're better?
Well, as you know, the number one go-to is obviously don't bag them. But again, if you've got good messaging and you've got good product and you're confident about what you sell, well, then that's the best way to go, is to obviously just and also, I suppose, have a good understanding of what your client needs and wants as well is. So, and that way that, when you're obviously, if time's his most critical area, well, then you're saying, okay, well, by using our product, because of the way we deliver it or the way we manufacture it, it actually does save you time.
Okay, so I've also got a question in regards to, you've got a few team leaders and stuff on here. Relationship is important, and I believe relationship underpins, so much within business. But what if, as a team leader, you see that there is relationship issues between a customer and the salesperson that's dealing with them? Do you allow that? How long do you allow them to actually see if their relationship improves before, I suppose, swapping salespeople to make sure that you don't lose the client?
Again, I suppose as a good leader, you want to give the person a chance to fix the problem themselves. But again, I suppose you don't want to lose the client. As you know, we all have different personalities and stuff like that. I think I've made some calls over the years that might have been too early, and then there might have been a couple that were too late. So I suppose effectively it's really on the situation itself. And I suppose by getting involved and at least meeting the client and seeing whether it's fixable as a starting point, and then if not, well then you need to make that call.
And so do we have any other questions coming through here? I think there were some really good questions there, Jason. So now you have to actually choose which question you felt was hit the nail.
There was a lot there actually, and I do really appreciate that. And if there's anyone that feels like they want to get a little bit more time out of the question, I'm happy to take a phone call as well on that, to talk about it a bit more. Probably the one and I'll have to remember who, I can't remember who it was, but the question about the consultative selling, where I think there might have been two questions.
Yep. It's Julia Melbourne. She says, what's the, oh, hang on. We got, what's the most important skill to gain or advance consultative seller competency? Or we had, where is it? Yeah, there is a few questions there.
That was the one I was thinking
Yeah, that's the one. So it's Julia Melbourne from Prida. So,
that was a very good question. Thank you. All of them were, I really appreciate it.
no worries. Well, look, I think it is, it's fantastic, and unfortunately, Jason, your Wi-Fi slowed down a little bit while you were talking in spots. So you sounded like a really outback country Queenslander, slow at times.
Far north involved. We apologise for that.
I was unsure. I thought maybe it sounded a bit like a Broncos player, but yeah. So look, it's really, really good. I think there's some really good information here. It would be great if we could actually get this presentation so those that participated can have the slides. And yeah, and we'll make sure that everyone's got your information. And so for everyone else, we've got the upcoming webinars. Shalina Serrano is on next week talking about tips on grant writing. And just to let everyone know, the application Shalina provided was down in Victoria. A fabricator is setting up a new trust plant. It's a $1.3 million trust plant. Shalina suggested they actually applied for advanced manufacturing grant. They said they knew nothing about that, and Shalina completed it all by herself. And they ended up getting $685,000 from the Victorian government to put towards, so half of the costs for their new plant were covered. So it's definitely worth looking at. There is money out there for industry, so hopefully everyone can tune in next week for our tips on grant writing. And a big thank you to Jason from Arrow Executive. Thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.